welcome to another episode of the Lifespeachy rebranded podcast. Today is a special one as we break new ground with our first ever dude guest.
Dude day.
I'm stoked to introduce a remarkable individual whose journey embodies resilience and transformation. Formerly known as Joey Vegas in the tattoo world, he's not only a skilled artist, but also an inspiring soul on a path of sobriety. Join me in today's special guest feature as we share the story of Joseph Haefs. Oh, God, we crafted this beforehand. Owner of Reverent Tattoo here in Las Vegas, as he shares his experiences of growth, change, and the artistry that goes beyond the ink. Get ready for an episode that delves into the heart of reinvention and the power of embracing one's true self. Welcome, Joseph, to the Lifespeachy podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Joseph, I've admired your work and followed your journey all the way since 2017. So it's been a few years, I must say. And the way that I found him is I was at work doing my other day job here in Las Vegas, and I was telling my friend, I said, hey, I'm really looking forward. I want to get my first big piece. Like, I've never got a big piece. I always do these little jammers, and I feel like I'm ready, right? Like, I think it takes courage to get a big piece. And she's like, girl, I've got a guy just for you. And she opened up your Instagram. And I was just in love. It was big pieces, all black line work, butterflies. Butterflies speak to me. And I was like, this butterfly.
Do a lot of girly.
It's a lot of girly.
I'm not mad.
I'm not mad either. And I was like, fuck, this is the guy, right? So I go to his tattoo shop and I do my consultation. And you asked me, and you're like, what would you like? I said, dude, I love your work. I'll give you my whole right arm.
Those are the clients I accept.
Yeah, and I was like, I just dig your butterfly eye women that you do. And, I'll link a piece or a picture of my piece in the show notes. But he's like, all right, right on. Whole right arm. I'll see you in a year. And I was like, fucking A. And so Michelle, his lovely wife, gave me a little receipt with my deposit on it. I gave it back. I'll see you in a year. And I knew there was energy in this space. And I was like, I'll be here in a year. Yeah, I got you. I'll be right back. And sure as shit, 2018, I got my first big piece. And it was pretty dope. Yeah. And I just want to...
You're one that made an impact of clients from then and before. Just like, law of attraction. You came with a strong energy. We have a similar strong presence, but big heart. Big hearts.
Yes.
And you're motivating, inspiring. There's a lot of beautiful women in Vegas that don't have drive, and they want other people to take care of them, and that's fine.
Yeah.
It's what Michelle, you were one that Michelle really respected, and you're a go-getter.
Well, thank you. I have to tell you.
I said nothing is. I like to be taken care of for years. I dated women, and my first wife took care of me, and then I finally started to grow up and realize a relationship is a two-way street.
Oh, for sure.
So I was like that too.
And this is what I love though too. So going into, when I, go fast forward to a year later and I'm coming into your studio, I'm fucking nervous. Like, I'm like, oh God, I know this is gonna hurt. I know you like
so
tattoo.
Funny, you're a confident babe, but you're nervous.
I've grown, okay? I think I am definitely stronger than I was in 2017. You met me actually before I stopped drinking. I was a different person, as were you, I believe. Mm-hmm. But I remember going in and just being so nervous, and you have an energy in your shop, and this is just an outsider's perspective, but when I walked in, my nerves just went here because Michelle gave me this embracing hug. And it wasn't like a phony hug. It was like a genuine, like, hey, welcome to our space. And by the way, your space is gorgeous. Very Joseph Haefs. Yes.
Yes, and that's my wife's decorating, and our energy together, but she's an artist. We were talking about before that we're all artists. We're supposed to be here to create and dance and full expression, and art forms are in many different ways. It's not just drawing and painting, and it's so many forms, and she's a decorator, interior decorator. When she puts, I don't know how she does it. Even in our garage, it's cluttered. And I was like, now I'm more in service. I want to do things. I'm like, I want to do this garage for her, but I didn't know where to start.
Yeah.
5 hours. Everything is just in the space.
Yeah.
And it looks cool. I'm like, how do you do that?
She compliments you. You guys definitely have a vibe. You have a style. You have a brand together. And that's what I love by following your journey is you've branded you, Joseph Haefs. Your wife is always on your Instagram story. She's
People have
hot.
tried to come and stink you.
Thank you.
I'm a decent looking dude, but I mean, there's times where I was like, what is this babe doing with me? And the rest of the world thought the same thing.
And she's just a warm soul. So I have to say, she opened the doors and I came in and it was a welcome. And it was just an experience. Getting tattooed by you is an experience. So again, I'm grateful. And it's weird. I believe in like the law of attraction. For some fucking reason, my friend in the department was like, hey, this guy, Joseph, you got to check out his work. I went to your studio. It was just amazing. The experience
and there's so many shops for people to choose from.
I live in Las Vegas. You know what I mean?
There's over 300 shops. You could have gone to anybody.
And then what's cool, though, is not only have I been magnetized to your art since 2017, I've been magnetized to your story. You are very authentic. You're very authentic in your journey, your family. I love watching soccer days with your son. You are very authentic. From the transformation in your home to the no TV to the furniture you place in your house. You are a brand and a story yourself, and you are inspiring, my friend. So this is why I continue to have
Thank you.
This passion to follow you, and this is how I got to this space and this time and this moment. So thank you.
Thanks for giving me space to share my story. People who made me feel bad or want to shut up. They thought it was weird that I talk about myself so much. I want to talk about what people talk about when they're drunk.
Yeah.
I've had these deep, real conversations, but only when people are drunk, and then they
Yeah.
forget they had it, or they want to pretend they didn't have it.
Yeah.
Most people are living through their life trying to get through the day and not think. They don't want to get real. It used to piss me off, but now I'm meeting people that do, and it's okay. It's giving me, I know I can have these real conversations now, so I can have the surface level conversations with everybody else, and just, because I know people just want to get through the fucking day. They ain't trying to get deep. Not everyone wants to get deep.
But some people are.
And
those people are your people. Yeah. People
I
are
want to
mad
talk
and
about.
Yes.
I just want to talk about real, like what makes you feel, what makes you inspired, what makes you cry, what
makes you tick.
Yeah, what are your weaknesses? Let's talk. People don't want to talk about that. I love talking about my weaknesses, and man,
and I think that's dope. That's what makes you you. Never stop being you. I have to tell myself this all the time. People are magnetized.
I was trying to please everybody, like we said.
Yes.
People, we're a certain we're not everybody's cup of tea.
We're a certain cup.
We're not gonna. Somebody said, if everybody liked. I used to say my dad said it, but he didn't. But someone goes, they were told if everybody liked the same thing, everybody would be trying to do your mom, like in that.
Yeah.
It would be a boring world if we all liked the same thing.
Exactly. You have to have character and uniqueness and embrace it. Some people, I think, have a really hard time embracing who the fuck they really are. And so... Because
we're afraid that we're not going to be liked or rejected. So we're not being authentic.
Yes. And what I learned by having this mission, the more that I say my authentic self, the more the right people are magnetized to my message. This moment right here.
I want to be around you.
Yes, got me to this moment right here by just being me, by saying the things that I wish people would say. And so first things first, Joseph Haefs, I would like to say congratulations on 96 days, 100% fucking sober. How does that feel?
Really, I've had tears of gratitude. Before, my tears were of sadness and guilt and shame. And now they're tears of gratitude that I have this amazing life, that my wife didn't leave me, I didn't lose. A lot of people, it takes them to change is that they lose everything. And something about my ego, which I very much have, it's obvious if you follow me, there's good parts of the ego that I don't want to fail.
Yeah.
And so I used to just play with the fire. Like, it's almost like throughout my life, I do really good, even before my wife, Michelle, I'd do really good, and then I would get bored, I thought, and then I'd ruin everything. And then I realized I didn't think I was deserving of it because of how I was raised by, my parents laughed at me and told, I didn't feel like I was good enough. My mom will touch in later that she cared too much what people thought. A lot of my addictions and recklessness was me needing to be seen, me not knowing how to really express myself, and it was in reckless ways and rebelling.
You learn from all those moments.
Yeah, I've had glimpses. We talked about law of attraction before I met Michelle. When I was tattooing in Chicago, I started this. It was way before The Secret was out, and I'll shorten it. As I moved there with 2 bags of clothes. I knew nobody. There was a tattoo artist named Clean Rock One, and he had a shop outside of Chicago in Elgin, Top Notch Tattoo. And I went out there, I think in 2008 or 9, and I had 2 bags of clothes. I knew nobody. I slept on this dude's floor, and over the weeks, I found a little. This taps into my yoga as well. I found a rec center. It was like for old people because it's an old town. And I would walk to work and I would say, I'm going to make this much money a week. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get this place. I envisioned everything. Yeah. And I would say it in my head, and then I started saying it out loud. And then people in cars would drive by, and something was like, I don't care. I would just say it louder. And it happened.
Yes.
Jamie, I got a 2-bedroom condo for $750 a month above the tattoo shop. I bought 2 cars, fully furnished my place. Was sending home child support like more than I should have, but it felt good to do that. And then I felt this, what I have now. I've felt it before, and then I'm like, oh, it's just in my head. But it is in your head.
Yeah.
But I was like, no, it was just a farce. It was just lucky. And more as the years went by, the stuff happened. And then I would just piss it all away with partying, wanting to fit in, and then just not knowing what to do with this energy. I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm only 96 days sober. So there's a lot. More will be revealed.
Yes. I have to tell you, so I have a genuine heartfelt mission in interviewing you specifically for today. I hope that the work, and I just want to let you know, that the work that we do and the willingness to be bold truly can make the world a better place, because we can inspire those who we may never even meet a day in our fucking life. I told Joseph before we started, if I would have seen this blonde, patent leather lady saying fuck alcohol when I was 20-something years old, I didn't have the social media as I do now, I might have thought differently about it. So my mission is to be bold, to be loud, and to be proud, and this is just my own heartfelt thing, is to break generational substance abuse. I hope that our kids one day will listen to this podcast and be like, fuck, that's my mom, she's so cool. That guy, he's so cool. You know what I mean?
That's in the TVs and they put alcohol and everything. My wife loves country. I was like, I heard songs about drinking.
Everything.
I was like, dude, what would they do? What would they sing about if there was not about drinking, about beer, about it's so beautiful. It is. And they put it, it's a pub that they're brainwashing us, and they're showing only the good times, a lot of it, and there's a lot of this stuff. Yeah, a little bit here and there, but it's just these. Always have a beer, always have a drink.
Yeah.
And it made me, and I was obsessed with trying to just be a normie, and I'm not. Some of us aren't. Some of us extra people. We have so much energy, and we just alcohol and drugs take us somewhere else. And then there's normies that they can just have a couple beers and go to bed. I don't know how you guys do it.
I don't know.
Why? I don't want 2 beers, because then I'm like, I don't want those calories.
Yeah.
If I'm drinking to get fucked up.
Oh gosh, yeah. And I like how you put that. Like, I'm not one of the normies, but you know what? Now that I'm on the other side, I don't want to be one of the normies. I am Jamie motherfucking Letchworth. It is boring, and I am bold, and I got shit to say.
I admire people who are okay with bare minimum. Yeah. But something I tell my daughter, we're no BMBs, no bare minimum bitches. I don't do the bare minimum. You get the bare, but if you're okay with it,
and that's dope.
That's cool.
But
if you're happy, But I wasn't.
I'm a dreamer, and you're a manifester. We see it in our head. We go get it, right? Yeah. Yes. Okay, so I was looking at some of your work, right? And I just love this comment that you made. You said, with growth comes change, and sometimes change means going back to the beginning. I would love to take it back to Joey Vegas from 2001. And the opening of the 3rd tattoo shop here in Las Vegas. That's pretty dope. The 3rd tattoo shop. Now there's a tattoo shop on every corner. But can you tell me...
We bought the 3rd tattoo shop. I didn't open the 3rd.
Oh, okay.
But I got tattooed in that shop when I was 18 by Jenna Jameson's boyfriend. Jenna Jameson was one of the first self-made porn stars in the world.
Yeah.
I saw her on Howard Stern later and was like, oh, that's the chick of the tattoo. But in 1998, I worked at Porta Subs sandwich shop, and my money, I rode my bicycle down. I was never good with money until I met Michelle. She's more than quadruple. I was like, you quadruple my income. She's like, like tenfold.
You compliment each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got tattooed in the shop I own now in 1998 when I was 18 or 19.
Damn, that's full circle.
And I didn't even think I'd be a tattoo artist, let alone own it 20 years later.
Damn.
Crazy.
That is cool.
I still have to pinch myself sometimes
Just
when
make sure it's real.
I like being sometimes the last guy in the shop and just, I hit my knees and pray, I do all this stuff I was embarrassed of.
Yeah.
I touch the front door and I put energy into it, and you get what you give.
Yeah.
And like you said, what you felt in the shop, people have had to try to take what we have or come in there, pretend to be a friend, and they're like, what does Joey and Michelle got? We don't. They're trying to copy, and like, you can be inspired by people. It's great to, but be yourself, and that's like you just go in there and you feel it. Like you said, I've tattooed nothing but beautiful women like Jamie, and when they were younger, their moms and grandmas come in with the chip on their shoulder, like, I don't like these tattoos, and you watch them after 10 minutes, they're like, oh, it feels good in here.
There's an energy.
We got stories about an old grandma that was talking shit, and then she ended up getting a tattoo on her shoulder and was like dancing, and just, it doesn't matter, like, there's so many industries now that are growing because of social media. There's a double-edged sword that there's no secrets anymore.
Yeah.
So it's like, what do you have to offer that no one else does? And be authentically yourself. Yeah. People are going to come to you. I'm not worried. So I'm 44 years old and been tattooing over 20 years, and there's so many young kids that are way better than me that have been tattooing. Skill-wise, there are these kids who should be going to art school, and they're like, I'm going to tattoo. And a lot of guys my age and older are very butthurt. Yeah. And they don't even realize they're putting bad energy out. It doesn't matter how many shops open, how many artists. I have something to offer that people, you have your demographic, and my people will continue to come. And I'm not threatened. I'm excited, and I'm glad the bar is being set to push me.
Oh.
I'm not threatened. Yeah. It's like, there's enough for everybody.
Ooh, I love that. There is enough for everybody.
It's like the door doesn't close. It's like podcasts. Everybody's doing a podcast now. Cool.
But nobody's
because it's like there's some people like, I don't want to hear that guy anymore. I don't want to hear this person anymore. The door doesn't close. I don't like that where people get into something or like no more. The door doesn't close behind you. Like, you got to get over yourself and tap into like what makes you special. What do you have to offer?
You are your own brand. The way that you say something, the way that you do something, and that's for any entrepreneur. There's going to be tons of people out there that have a podcast, that have a tattoo shop, but you are what makes it. A personal trainer,
life coaches.
Yeah.
Oh my God, there's so many. I started with this men's group that was only a couple hundred people. Now it's thousands. Everybody's a fucking life coach, but you're not going to resonate with everybody. I think if you're doing it with your heart also, the money won't come at first. And if you're focusing on the money, you're doing it about the wrong way. I told her earlier, money, currency is an energy, and it's your energy. It's like, focus on the love, and then everything will come to you, what you need.
Love is the highest vibration. Love for yourself, love for others.
Loving what you're doing.
Loving what you're doing.
Tattooing, I get goosebumps, I'll cry, happy tears that this is, I don't say I have to go to work, I say I get to go to work. I get to go tattoo.
Hell yeah.
To do what I love.
This leads me here. Okay, who was Joey Vegas in 2001? What was he like personally and professionally?
Douche. I see that douchebag and other men now desperately needed to be seen and heard, not loved enough, not loving himself, not respecting himself. Women like douchebags. It's a fact. Women, the bad boy, which can be very douchey, self-centered, egotistical. What I try to tell men that I see that have good hearts, that are good men, but they struggle in the lady department, I say, you gotta be a little more douchey. I say, and pause right there. What the douchiness is confidence. Women like confidence. Women want a man to take charge, even though there's a shift in women's rights and women are being able to be more independent. They still want a partner who's strong. They want someone who can make decisions and confident. We were at a nice game, and there was these babes your age in their early 30s next to us, and the girl's married, and she was talking to her friend about her husband's hot friend. And she's like, he is hot. And her friend's like, he's so douchey. She's like, yeah, you know what? He is, but he's so hot. It's like when he walks in the room, he's there. He demands respect. I go, you just said what I say all the time.
All the time.
Why women like douchebags?
Yeah.
I've always been lucky with women.
Yeah.
And it was the confidence and that part of the ego that they see. We're like, what's that guy all about? Some women like mystery, but So, to go into Joey Vegas, what I thought a man was drink, fight, fuck.
Yeah.
As a kid, I moved here from Connecticut at 15, and my dad owned he got lucky with baseball cards and blew up. He was a hard worker in construction. He had baseball cards. My grandma was, "Mark, come get your baseball cards." And then he found out, we lived in Connecticut, and then in New Jersey, he went on the boardwalk in Atlantic City and bought one of the first price guys, and these cards he bought for pennies on the dollar were hundreds and thousands of dollars, and then he would do little card shows, and then my mom, like Michelle, saw something, and she bought a little store, an old meat market, and then in the late 80s, early 90s, it blew up, and then he had them in malls. Damn. And then in 1995, I was about to be a freshman, 94 to 95, and I just finally made it in the cool kids in town, had the hot girlfriend. Oh, wow, she was, it's weird to think about a 15-year-old, but at the time I was 15.
Right.
But she was the hot girl, and I was in love. And I was on the football team, the hockey team. I was going to be an architect. Connecticut is very advanced. And I was already in, there's architecture, there's drafting 1, architecture drafting 2. Yeah. 8th grade, I was already doing drafting 2.
Goddamn.
Moved to Las Vegas. My dad made money, so he said, Beanie Babies are taking over.
I do remember.
Say goodbye to your friends. We're moving to Vegas. Yeah. And they oversaturated the market with baseball cards like anything. Yeah. They overdid it. The price went down. Yeah. Beanie Babies went up and went crazy. There's even a Netflix on what's the guy? Doesn't matter. Yeah. Doesn't matter. And so we moved to Green Valley in '95, and that was a rich part of town, but I wasn't that kind of rich. Yeah. My dad has had money, but that was like, I was calling my friends up, yo, this is like 90210. It's all hot blondes and convertibles and Mercedes. And I was like, whoa. And I was not. So I hung out with the stoners and the gangsters and the cholos. And my point is, I had to get in where I fit in, like Too Short says. And I hung out with the cholos. And I lived a really rough life. People look at me like, I can't believe you call yourself a wannabe. I was a wannabe gangster because I wanted to be like the gangsters we hung out with, the older brothers. Yeah. And so you need to worry about a wannabe gangster because that dude has to prove he's down. And I did a lot of dangerous, horrible stuff that still haunts me to today. It did build character, and my karma has came, and I'm sure there's more down the road. Who knows? But it built me able to, when I got into tattooing in 2000, 2001, my first wife was a beautiful blonde like you and Michelle, and she stripped her way through college and paid for me to learn how to tattoo. She took care of me. Yeah. But I did get bored. Even though I said I like to be taken care of, spoiled, I can't sit still. I gotta do something. Yeah. And so I hung out at a tattoo shop. Like I said earlier, getting where you fit in. It was ran by bikers and gangsters, and they were a little iffy about me. And then I had to drag a dude out that was being crazy and disrespectful, and I beat the shit out of him. They were like, dude, and that broke. It filled my ego. And then I was always like, how crazy can I get? They offered me an apprenticeship, and it's like, what? Bringing girls in the bathroom, fighting, and then partying after. Yeah. 20 years ago, there wasn't a lot of good artists here. There was probably only like 10 or 20, and the rest were bikers and gangsters. And some of the people that were good artists that moved to Vegas, they would party. They were making so much money, and we would go out at night, hang out with strippers all night, not have to pay to hook up. Yeah. And like we were like, back then, tattoo artists were like rock stars. Like rock stars wanted to hang out with us, so we could tattoo them. And then I could party. I would be doing this. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, okay, I got 4. Okay, I can do a little more drugs, because I got 4 more hours of sleep, and I wasn't booked out. I'm tattooing tourists, so all I had to do was show up. Yeah. And if you were a coworker, I just show up so I don't get fired. But hey, Jamie, you're up. I'm not, and I can take a nap, or I go next door to the casino and take the hair of the dog. And so these guys, this guy Tone Shingon, who was Americana from San Diego, and a couple other guys I made friends with at Bad Apple Tattoo. And we went out one night, and I ran into like 3 people that I knew on Las Vegas Boulevard. Yeah. They're like, damn, Mr. Vegas, Joey Vegas. And it was like part of it. It's just that persona that I was just a crazy Vegas guy. Yeah. And I didn't realize as years went by, I was the payaso. I was the clown. I was the entertainment. Let's feed him drinks. Let's see
how
great. What's he gonna do today? And that was my story. I said my book would be like, listen to this shit. I go to work and be like, yo, listen to this shit. And I thought that guys kind of admired me. They feared me, and girls wanted me. They wanted the bad boy. But it was very toxic. I was a giant child who was very disrespectful, selfish. Like, even at people I worked for, to fast forward, I've had different versions of me work for me through the years. I've had to go back to tell guys, I am so sorry. I've had versions of me work for me where it's like, holy shit.
You see yourself.
Yeah, I was very reckless and disrespectful, and I was a fucking... Joey Vegas was a douchebag.
Well, I think it takes a lot of selflessness to say so. And I think it's really cool to be on the other side, and I don't know your personals, but I know when I look at my own past mistakes and the things that you find shame in a weird way, I am grateful for those moments because it gives me more gratitude in the present day. I know that I'm not going to be that person. I know that I will get home safely. I know that I'll be there for my family. And so in a weird... And this is just my own perception. In a weird, twisted way, I am grateful for those moments, because maybe some people never had those moments, so they don't know how special life can truly fucking be.
I did have a lot of fun. And
I'm sure.
And in my 20s, it's okay.
Yes.
You're supposed to do that stuff.
You live and you learn, right? That's
and then as I got in my 30s and met Michelle, it wasn't cute no more.
Yeah.
It's not cute no more once you hit your 30s. It's like, oh, all right, bro.
But you know what's cool is some people never hit that moment when they say that shit's not cute no more.
They don't want to grow up. I didn't realize that this ties into going to the next chapter where I had to put that part of me in it's called Peter Pan syndrome. Oh. I met my wife. It'll be 13 years in a few more weeks. 2011, 2010. I worked for a tattoo shop in a casino called Three Lions, and I liked to party and I did my drugs, but I was never a junkie. And some of these guys, almost all of them, were junkies, and they were stealing money, and it was kind of a manipulation. Like I was very difficult as an employee because you never knew what was going to happen, but I didn't steal. And when I was there, I'm honest. I've always been honest. Well, up until my late 20s, then I started being honest. I used to lie a lot when I was younger. Yeah. But I was honest, and I worked hard, and I didn't steal. Yeah. So it's kind of hard to fire me. It's like you wanted to fire me, but you're like, fuck, that guy brings money. And he'll show up. And he brings energy when he's here. Yeah. And so I'm working for this dude who's this old pikey. He owned a bar. So he had two shops in the Riviera and the Sahara. And in the Riviera, he owned a pub too. And there was this cute blonde at the I love blondes. You guys are fun. There was a cute blonde at his bar, and she would get me shitty drunk for $40. And eventually, all through that fall, that summer into the fall, everybody got fired. He didn't want to hire me at first either. Yeah. That's another story. It doesn't really matter. But he respected me because I didn't kiss his ass and I would talk shit to him. Okay. And he's an old pikey, old punk rocker who grew up and became a businessman. Okay. And so it doesn't matter why everybody got fired, but everybody got fired from both shops. Damn. And he's looking at me. He's like, fucking hell, last man standing. Last man standing. I was like, so-and-so, why don't you make me the manager? I'll show you what it's like to have a real tattoo shop. Because he's an interloper on the outside. Interlopers are someone who makes money off of industry that they're not in. Oh. Investors are interlopers. Okay, so he's not actually in the industry but runs. No, he's just got money and he sees that he can make money. So he's all, fucking hell, you're an alcoholic. I go, so are you. Yeah. I go, all right, I'll go 3 months. I smoked weed. I did marijuana maintenance. Yeah. I'll go 3 months without drinking and I'll work 3 days. I'll go 3 months without drinking and I'll work 3 months in a row. But you can't come in here so-and-so because you get really drunk from the pub, and even though half these tourist women are taking their shirts off, he couldn't read the room, so sometimes he'd be inappropriate. I'm like, dude, I'm not even done selling this tattoo and you're already trying to take this girl's shirt off. Yeah. So there has to be boundaries here. You can't be in here, boss. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. You can come in on Thursday for payroll and that's it. Okay. And then he would slowly call me and he goes, they were really stealing. I said, you don't even know the half of what was going on here.
Yeah.
And then he asked me to become part owner. And then anyway, it's a really long story how I met Michelle. But I had met Michelle then, and I was sober. And that's what I was attracted. And I didn't want to be with her. A lot of people, I just need a girlfriend. I just need a husband. If I just get this it'll make me happy. No, you got to make yourself happy. So I did what I always knew. I went to the gym. I did yoga. I got sober. I ate clean. I was focusing on my painting. I was feeling good. And I said I didn't want to be with anybody.
Yeah.
I had gotten an STD check with the girls dating before, with all the women I've been with.
Yeah.
So many tourist women, like.
Just to be sure.
So many tourists who come to Vegas and they want that, like they want to make bad decisions.
Yeah.
They want to get laid. And,
Yeah.
and sometimes even girls that weren't even that into me, they're like, whatever.
It's a good story.
I want to make some bad decisions with that guy. And I never got an STD, so I was like, I'm good. I'm just going to focus on me. And then me and Michelle met. We went on our first date on the 3rd of December. I moved in 2 weeks later and got her pregnant as fast as I could. And everybody warned her not to be with me because they knew the Joey Vegas.
Yeah.
And so to touch into the Peter Pan syndrome, it's like, I quit my job. She was like, fuck. She worked for a big company. She had a very beautiful vintage house. She was doing pinup modeling, legit. She had no tattoos except for like 2 here and 1 little one on her back. She was on cover of Foreign magazine. She was... Whoa. Yeah. I even look at old pictures like, holy fuck. She's still beautiful. I'm still so, I don't need to be graphic, but she still does it for me.
Yeah.
At 13 years later. But everybody warned her about me. Even her best friend was just at our house. A friend of ours took her own life 3 months ago. And she's a very famous, I'll say her name, Ashley Cunningham. She's a very famous pinup model. And she was like, Joey, I didn't want you. My friends call me Joey. I didn't want you for her. I was like, I know, Ashley. She goes, no, I don't. I really didn't. I was like, I know. I was very reckless. She goes, no, I was your biggest advocate against you. I did not want you for her. I was like, oh. She goes, no, but I'm so happy you're together. What you did is beautiful. Yeah. She's had a baby now, and her views have changed. And I was like, oh, cool. But I put Michelle through. And I moved in, and then my mother took her own. I was sober, and my mother took her own life. And I was like, I'm not going to drink. I'm not going to drink. And I drank. Yeah. And I used that as a victim, that card, for a while. So I binged, and she didn't even really know about the drugs, and I had barricaded myself behind the door because I was so embarrassed in her bathroom. And I could hear her knocking, and she's like, babe. And I was like, what did I just bring into this woman's life? She is so amazing.
What I love about your story, though, is Michelle is a huge part of, I don't want to say your brand, but you, and we talked about this before we even went live, is that you love each other throughout different seasons of life, and I think that's what makes a strong marriage so admirable. I think any more people don't stay together. They
don't want to do the work.
They don't want to do the work. And the work is loving each other in the ugly and loving each other in the beautiful. And so I have to tell you, the love that you have for each other is definitely conveyed through your work and through everything that you share. And I think the way that, like you said, the law of attraction, even her friend said you weren't supposed to be together, but you really were. You really were. And I just think it's
I used to dream about women like her. I would watch movies like a girl. I would watch love stories wanting what I have with her. Yeah. I didn't think it was real. So to touch on that Peter Pan, I knew I couldn't do what I did to my ex-wife and other girls that would take care of me. I used them. I have a big heart, but I had a best friend I looked up to that's beautiful, and that's where I became a douchebag, as I was a nice guy. Yeah. And the hot girls I liked, when I was nice, they'd walk all over me. Yeah. And then I worked at Victoria's Secret before I tattooed.
You worked at Victoria's Secret?
I did.
That's a cool one.
I was the stock boy. But out of all I've been very, very lucky with women my whole life. But I did not get laid there.
Oh my God.
Because I was nice. I would flirt with all the girls, and I would listen and complain about their asshole boyfriend or their asshole boyfriend or husband. And then they would go home with them. And the short version of that is there was this really hot Brazilian girl and she'd grab my ass and flirt with me because I'd be up on the ladder in the back because there's a supply room. Yeah. And so we went on a gym date. We went on a gym date dinner, and then on the day off I went with her favorite flowers and her dessert, and I went to give it to her. She was on my nuts.
Yeah.
And then I did this, and she went, thanks. Oh. And I was fucking crushed. And I was like, never again. Yeah. I'm going to treat women like shit. And then and all the hot women started liking me. Or they stayed.
Yeah.
I put my ex-wife through, oh God, I tormented her. I would like get out of the car. I would cause fights. Like I liked the chaos. And I'm like, I wonder how far I can go. She would chase me. I'd run away and take her money. I would wait till she'd sleep. I'd take her money in her car. But I couldn't do this to Michelle. So I had quit my job, and then I was showing off her rad car and pictures of how hot she was, and I went to crawl into bed. And that voice that guides me, my higher self, God, said, not this one. And I got out of bed, and I started messaging women, and was like, hey, girls in town. I said, hey, I left the casino shops. I'm rebranding myself. I want to do my own art. My wife has a good job, so I can give good prices. So when I said that, like girls weren't like, oh, this guy's not being creepy. He said his wife. Yeah. And then that's how. And then I went to go work at another shop, and it was always like the owner was on drugs and the shop was cool. Or the shop was on drugs and the owner was cool. Yeah. Or vice versa. And I was like, I need to get my own shop. I went on one last binge, and I was like, I need rehab or my own shop. And we lived in the hood. Like, we were on, like, food stamps. We were struggling. She had quit her job because they would talk shit about me. They're like, she's with a Mexican gangbanger. She's like, oh my. He is Italian, and he's not really, his lokes are actually Prada. He's a fancy, he's a fancy gangster. And she wouldn't stand for them talking shit about me. She quit, and I threw that shit in her face so much, Jamie, when things were going my way. I was such a child, dude. Like, oh, it's why she had a good job. I'm like, what did you do? She stood up for the one that she loved. We struggled, girl. Yeah. We struggled, and the shop I have, I drove by, and they didn't have, the sign was down, and she looked it up, and she called him, and we met the property manager, because she was all dolled up. Like, at first, it's been 3 generations of bikers. Yeah. That's owned the shop, and so they're already kind of like another fucking tattoo shop. So I just let Michelle do the talking. The property manager like eased and leaned on the walls like, ew. She's like, you sure you want it? And we hit the ground running. Fuck yes. And she's an energy. And so she's an energy that is in the place. Girl, I tried to fire her so many times though in the beginning. Your wife? Yes. Okay. There was no ladies. There was no wives and old ladies in the shop. Oh. And then I realized it was because they were being shady. They didn't want their wives to see what they were doing. Oh. And then I realized I have nothing to hide, and I needed her. It was like my ego. This is where I had to stop letting go, and like, okay. Oh, she makes more sense. Oh, she's more organized. You're gonna we fought on the decorating. I was like, fine, you can have it all. You can do it. Because I was just going to decorate it like a biker old school. And then she made it all pretty and girly. And my friends would make fun of me on social media. They're like, it looks like a salon. It looks... And I stopped caring. I had old friends work for me. They're like, you turned into a little bitch. You let your wife run the show. Oh. And I'd be like, oh. And then I just stopped caring because I trusted her. Yeah. And I was like, I really don't care. And the more I let go, the better it got. And it was overwhelming. Like, there'd be fucking 10 girls lined up waiting to get tattooed and get in the books, and it grew and grew and grew. And it just, and then so I had to really, then I would do good, and then I'd want to go out, and I'd go on these binges, and then I would be so selfish through the binges. And you said people don't want to do the work. It's like this, I'm going through this metamorphosis, like I'm changing, I don't like how it feels, and I would run, I would cause a fight like a child. Chicks do this. I have these chick tendencies because I've always surrounded myself with women. Yeah. All my best friends were women, so I learned. I had my gangster friends, but I really hung out with the women because I just wanted to be around beautiful women. You guys smell better, nice butts. There you go. And I learned a lot of stupid, and my mom and her sisters, I learned a lot of crazy traits from women. Yeah. And so that was like my character building from them. And I would throw these temper tantrums and drive. I remember I would drive and trying to justify why I was angry, and I couldn't even fucking remember why.
Yeah.
And then I'd have to sit with the cat. I was like, look what you did. It was just this. And so I'd get drunk, and I was like, it's Peter Pan. I'm Peter Pan. I would try to explain it. It's Peter Pan syndrome. So the old Peter Pan movie with Robin Williams.
Okay, yeah.
If you remember, in the beginning, he was a grumpy lawyer.
Remember,
he was uptight and very grumpy.
Yeah.
He was complaining about everything. It's because he forgot how to be a child. He grew up, and he didn't want to fucking grow up.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to grow up because I was a giant man-child.
Peter Pan fucking syndrome.
It's like, yeah, you can be a sexy beast and beat people up, but it's like, are you really a man? How do you walk through life? And I didn't know being a man isn't how much you can drink and how much you fight and how good you can fuck. It's how you show up in the world.
Yes.
How do you handle situations?
Oh.
Do you handle them like a child and break things?
Yeah.
Do you just tell your wife to shut the fuck up because you don't want to deal with it?
Yeah.
Do you break things? Do you run away? That's what I was doing. I wasn't being a man. I didn't know that, but I didn't have a good example either. But it's not an excuse. I had to do the work.
How to do the work, but oh god, I have so many ways I want to do this. So
I didn't even know what the work was, but I knew I had to do something.
you had to do something, and then I also love the live in chaos thing. I think chaos becomes so normal when you're in that kind of like mind frame that it's normal to have
people
these
are
arguments.
addicted to it.
Adrenaline.
Negative people are addicted to each other. They don't even like each other, but they're addicted to the gossip and the complaining.
Yes.
Because it confirms who they are, and it's a frequency.
And it's an energy.
It makes me sick now. If I ran into an old friend and she was gossiping. She has a big heart, but I was like, I was like, but don't make her feel stupid. Just let her listen and just play the game.
Oh man. Well,
a lot of us don't even know it because we're walking around in our sleep.
Yeah.
We're on autopilot.
Most time, but then you have this moment, right? I want to touch on this. So can you share with our listeners that was there ever? This is always what I'm interested to know because I feel like in my own personal life there was a series of moments that led me. I was fucking tired of saying sorry for things I didn't remember. That was the biggest thing. I would have to apologize mostly to those that I love the most, were the ones that I hurt. And I would have to apologize for things that I didn't remember and like a version of myself that I didn't even fucking recognize who she was. But it took several incidences for me to realize this. And that's just my own personal thing. And I love this thing that, this is kind of but Matthew McConaughey said that.
Green Lights, baby.
Oh my god, I love that, by the way. That's a great kid.
If you're not good at reading, start with that book. You don't even feel like you're reading.
And he speaks it for you, so it's like watching a movie.
He spells it. Well, I read it. And he spells it. You know when he won that bet? He's like, I knew it, I knew it, I knew it.
You're so
And he spells it out, K-N-E-E-E-W-W-W-W.
Okay.
I didn't even feel like I was reading. I read that through COVID.
I listened to the Audible, and it's like watching him in the movies. One, I really love him because he never cared to be fucking famous. He just wanted to share his work. Two, I love that he wrote his journals. He was sharing his journal entries.
Oh, if you read his journal, on the book, every chapter is his journal, so sloppy.
So then I bought the book for my dad, and my dad read it, right? So I got to see that he included photographs and stuff. But where I'm going with this is that I listened to I found him somewhere, and he was talking about how you have dialogue. When you actually take the time to think something, the neurons and the nerves in your hand go down, and you literally write legible writing onto a piece of paper, it becomes more powerful.
Manifest.
Yes, and I had a moment in my own sobriety where I wrote down, I think I might be a fucking alcoholic. And then when I always had that thought in my head, right? But I was like, fuck, I'm 20-something years old. Like, this isn't fucking possible. Like, this is fucking normal. But when I wrote it on paper that day and stared at it, it became real. You know, and I still have this journal to this day.
You couldn't lie no more.
You couldn't lie anymore. And I was so... But there's moments that led up to me, but that day I told myself I fucking hate this. Like this feels like shit. You know, can you share? Are there any moments or experiences that led you to make a decision to embark on this journey of sobriety?
I knew even before Michelle. I knew I was I lied. Where I was like I was an addict, but I haven't done drugs without being drinking in a fucking long. I can't remember. It's been many years. But after the chaos and saying I'm sorry, I would wake up and be like, I'm gonna go get help. I'm gonna do this, and I would, and then, but I was only doing it to put a Band-Aid. And I like you said, you're sick of saying you're sorry. Something Michelle says, if you're saying you're sorry every day, all day long, by the end of the day, you're a sorry ass bitch. Like, and you're gonna believe that. Words are so powerful. I just didn't want to be a sorry ass bitch, and I would do really good, and my ego thought I could control it, but I would go get help, but I had my own ideas, and I wasn't listening to people that have experience with recovery.
Yeah.
I was just doing, I knew I was an alcoholic, but I thought I was a functional, because I have so many men that tell me, even Michelle, my own wife says, you have more discipline than anybody I know.
Yeah.
And I have guys that are like, I look up to you, but they're a normie. They can drink like a normal person. So I'm like, I work harder and I'm smarter than that person. So I can control it. My ego always thought if I went to this therapist, did this workshop, did this, if I could just, some of us is like we're lashing out because we haven't dealt with stuff.
Yeah.
And so I thought that if I deal with all this stuff, so many avenues of self-help books and seminars and men's groups and ayahuasca and psilocybin, and then I thought I could go back to drinking, but I finally accept that I'm powerless over alcohol, that it changes me. I finally accepted that I finally surrendered, that I can't control it. Yeah. And I'm okay with that. I used to say, oh, maybe I'll just quit drinking for 5 years, for 10 years. I know that it'll come back, and those demons are doing push-ups, getting stronger, just waiting for me to slip.
Fuck.
And God tests me. God puts so many tests in front of me. So like with the cannabis, before COVID, I went 2 years with no drinking or cocaine. Cocaine is my drug of choice. I haven't really said that on my platform because my younger kids. But that's part of my story. It just depressed me. And anyway, I would do marijuana maintenance. And something I realized over this 90 days, I thought I was this Zen-ass yogi. Yeah. Yes, I have a strong yoga practice, but I was smoking a quarter of weed a day. No wonder I was chill. But I also didn't want to deal with anything, and I made Michelle do everything. And then I'd get depressed, and then I would talk myself into drinking, because in my head I'd go, you're not really, truly sober. Yeah. So let's go out tonight, Joseph, and then you'll start again tomorrow. And the cycle, and the cycle, and the cycle. And Michelle said, I'll never leave you. I've never cheated on her. I'm very flirty. I've come close and then told on myself, or didn't meet up with this one person in the early years. I was just stroking my ego, because once I got with Michelle, a whole different demographic of women. Like I said, women have always liked me. Even my friends' moms growing up. Yeah. I've always been lucky in the lady department. Yeah. And if I go back in time, boy, I would have made some moves But it's okay. Different types of women were wanting me and approaching me, and I was like, I almost ruined something. So I've never hit her, and I've never cheated on her. And so she's like, I'll never leave you. I love you. Yes. I'm just gonna be broken. She's like, I'll just be this wife. Hey. And I used to get mad at her for feeling, why are you being like that? Gaslighting. I didn't realize I was gaslighting her. She was like, you need to read this book, but I don't think you can, because it's going to talk about you. Yeah. It was hard for me to face myself. Gaslighting.
I love this term, and
I hated it at first.
Not that term.
No, but it is what I was doing. I didn't understand. I thought gaslighting was like hyping you up, gassing you up. Yeah. Damn, girl, you look good. Your legs look good. I was like, those shoes are hot. I gaslight the shit out of you.
No, it was like lighting that motherfucker up to just get at him. In my own kind of like parts of, and I think you relate, an apology without changed behavior is just manipulation.
And is this fucking...
Right, and so I would do the same thing over and over, and I was a manipulating motherfucker, no doubt. And then I learned that I was...
Sometimes we're lying to ourselves, too. We think...
You tell yourself these things, yes.
I was sorry.
I genuine 100, because you're two different people. I always say it's like Jacqueline fucking Hyde.
It is.
I am not the same person, and so when I have to apologize for this behavior, it's something I don't fucking recognize.
And then they say, "Oh, a drunk mouth speaks sober words." Bullshit. Like, no, I would never say. She would tell me stuff I would say about her, because I would say horrible things to her. When I was drunk, I was like, I don't think anything's about. And then I just started bawling. I was like, that's how I feel about myself.
That's how.
I would call her lazy and stupid, and. She's none of those. That's me. That's my projection.
And I think that is a common human thing, is that when you project these negative feelings, it's only an inner projection of yourself, but only there are very few that have the willingness to say that. They're like, no, that's really how I feel about myself.
No sponsor plug.
I honestly feel like I relate to you in the 100% or nothing. I am a very driven person. If I fucking love something, I'm going to do 100%. I want to train, I want to be trained to that.
People say to you, why do you got to be so extreme? Baby steps. No, I'm all or nothing.
I'm all or nothing. And I feel that same way about drinking. I couldn't just drink 2 Coronas. I wanted to drink till I didn't remember my fucking name anymore. But I couldn't control it. So I got tired of trying to control a substance that would control me. And I would play with it. Like, okay, maybe if I went here and I just had didn't drink no whiskey tonight, because Jack Daniels makes me fucking crazy, right?
Oh, it makes me snarl.
So I would try that. Or I would try all these avenues to try to control it, but it never was something. So finally...
you said it.
And it's...
Beer only. I just drink 30 beers.
Yeah, I would just drink 30 of them. So how would you say, how has your journey of this sobriety, and by the way, this is just my own 2 cents, I don't like having that we have to term something sobriety, right? Like, I want to copyright some kind of better fucking term, because I hate that we have to term something, for us just wanting to live our life without this glamorized alcohol, but it is what it is right now.
I'd say a life of clarity, and I'm getting uncomfortable. What I'm doing now, where they're like, you're extreme, I took the TV out for the first 2 months, because I was just avoiding myself. I want to spend, and I would make people get mad. I'm making them look at themselves. Yeah. I'm supposed to always use I statements and own it. Me, but I know the rest of the world does it. We're avoiding ourselves at all costs. We have become, our ancestors would fucking laugh and smack us in the face. The things that they had to deal with, that we are so comfortable, the things that we complain about today, the bitch ass, my car got scratched. I spilled my shirt. My air conditioning. Oh, your air conditioning. Oh, we didn't have air conditioning. Your air conditioning broke.
Yeah.
We are such creatures of comfort that we have so many things that make ourselves comfortable and so many distractions. For me, it's like, how was I going to know who I am and what I felt and what I wanted if I'm always distracted by enough, and even the overeating I got to see, it's like it's a dopamine release. You're just avoiding a feeling and then you're just full. And it's like drugs. It's like, oh, all I can think about is I'm just full and I'm not thinking about my thoughts and stuff. We're just switching addictions to avoid ourselves. So every morning now, I make myself go out and do breathwork and meditation without a phone. I don't grab my phone anymore for the first hour. Yeah. And I sit with my feelings. It's something I got to do more at night when I come home. Sit there and feel what comes up. I think that I had a lot of leaky energy because I didn't understand what I was feeling, and it would come out in these passive-aggressive bitch-ass ways or aggressive ways or reckless ways. So now I can walk through life with, I like this word, sovereignty. I can control my mind and body. You can make the body do amazing things. You make the mind. So I'm having these conversations with myself where I wish I would say these jabs because I was in a mood, and now I know I'm just in a mood. And now walking through life, he was my kid just the other week. He came out, I was in between the gym. You know that transition where you're kind of crashing from the adrenaline and the caffeine and you got a little headache. Yeah. And he's just wanting to hang out with me because now I'm vibrating. Yeah. And all my son wants to be near me. And I would be like, dude, can you just and I don't do that no more. I go, hey buddy, can I have some space before I go to work? And he's like, cool, it's that easy. There's a different way to say it. Hey, it's not him. He just wants to be around you and he loves you. Or your spouse. We can be really mean to our spouses because they're not going to leave us, most of them. Yeah. And it's just like, hey, I just need a few minutes. Like understanding yourself. But if you're as high and drunk or you don't understand anything, you're just being a leaky asshole or a bitch, leaky energy. So I'm understanding myself now more. I don't know what the question was.
That was great. No, that was fantastic. And what I love about what you said is and this is just my own self personally, is I feel like it's I don't think I have a better way to say it, but once I quit something, so alcohol, for example, and then I'm like, oh, I really want to look at the relationship that I have with weed. I really want to look at the relationship I have with these gummies. I want to look at my relationship. And you start peeling away, and it's just gradual work. And I always believe that it's never ending. I always want to be the best version of myself, but I do know that I'm going to grow and I need to adapt and change to situations or circumstances. But how you said, I want to also be centered and focused, and I am like that. I can be brash. And mostly to those that I love the most, because you get so comfortable with that person. But in reality, that person should be your person that you speak the best to.
I don't know about you, but now I can catch myself within 5 minutes and apologize. The other day I attacked Michelle, and I would normally, I went through my head, you know what you normally would have done? Been a little bitch all day, stormed off, go play poker, justify, and then the next day ignore her, like, over what? Like, you were, even if what she did I was upset about, and I did have the right to be upset about it, and this is another part of being a man, to me. It's how you handle it.
Yeah.
Being a man, being respectful, all I had to say was, hey, babe, you did this thing again that we've talked about, and it's really bugging me. And I feel, when you do this, I feel not important.
Yeah.
Like, my needs aren't as important.
Yeah.
And then she could be like, oh, babe, I'm so sorry I just got distracted. But, okay, I just wanted to bring that to you. It's that easy.
It's that easy.
But it's not easy if you're not self-aware.
It is true.
It's not easy if you're not self-aware and you can't let your ego of, like, sure, I am upset.
Yeah.
This is something that's been going on a while. But it's how you handle a situation. For me, that's, I say being a man, but it's being mature.
Yeah.
And that's what makes a man a man. And now, I'll say it, the sex is better than ever. Because she is being respected and sees me being a man. Yeah. A lot of women have child men. And it's like, why is she going to want to do that thing you like to a child?
Yeah.
And that's probably why some men are like, my wife hasn't touched me in forever. She's being a bitch. How about we look at your side of the street? How are you treating her? Sure, you work and make all this money, but are you being a disrespectful asshole every night and treating her like she's your servant?
Yeah.
She's your partner. Yeah. And so she finds ways to make me feel like a man where I relinquish power, ego, like you I always say, you do whatever you want. Like, you want to dress like this, you want to look like this, you want to go. She's always like, Papa, can I go here? I'm like, you ain't trying to ask me.
But she says that out
But
of
it doesn't
respect.
make me feel good.
Yeah, it does make me feel good.
But like, you don't ever have to ask me. And it's like, this is like our 13 years, and it's like, we're making out like kids in the morning with I like her breath. I don't know.
And I hope that never ends.
Yeah.
That's right. I mean, that's how I hope for myself.
We have friends that haven't sex in months.
I couldn't imagine.
It's weird. They're your roommates.
Your
And then people don't want to leave because they want to be comfortable.
See, I hope
people are living lives that they aren't happy with because they're afraid to get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And we talked about the gym, why you're only going to have a sexy body or a nice physique if you're going to get uncomfortable and push yourself and get uncomfortable, and there's these rewards by getting uncomfortable. Leaning into that. So like I said, that morning meditation where I'm like, I don't want to do that breath work. Boom, now I got to lean into that. There's a great book called The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. Not The Art of War by Zhao, I can't say his name. The War of Art. And it talks about resistance. It's supposed to be there. Yeah. Everybody, so many people you look up to out there, viewers, a lot of people out there you look up to, they have imposter syndrome sometimes. They question themselves, no matter how confident you see. Like, men look at The Rock. Like, I bet that dude, he does machismo, confidence, but I'm sure he has days where he questions himself. Everybody does. It's supposed to be there to test us, to see if we're worthy, and you push through that resistance, and that's why those people are successful, you know.
And it takes practice.
And that's what those ice baths, like, it makes me... I kind of feel horny after because you're like you're being stimulated. I'm finding new ways to get high with natural, with the breath and doing stuff like that and working out your whole endorphin and
the natural dopamine.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
You got to get uncomfortable.
You got to get uncomfortable.
One thing I keep hearing, and it's in a 12-step program, insanity is expecting different results doing the same thing.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
And I think oftentimes we're too hard on ourselves, so we'll try something one time and then do it. But I think everything takes practice, even like from the conscious talking in a respectful way to your spouse. Like, you might fuck up one day, but the next day you can come back. It takes practice. So I would love to talk about this. Many people find support networks crucial in their sobriety journey. Can you tell us about the support you get from your friends, family, or the tattoo community in this process? Or do you have?
Well, I do. I would have this desperation to change, and then to all my friends, I'm like, look at me, I'm sober again, I'm changing. And it's like, pissing them off. It's like, all right, just do it already.
Yeah.
And then I would have this resentment. And so one of my stories, I would tell myself, last time I quit drinking, I was very lonely. And I was.
Yeah.
But that's because I would say that out loud, and I was manifesting. Words are powerful.
Yes.
You know, the words, it's called spelling.
Yeah.
And I would...
You are.
And so now I started to go around where other men want to get sober. I found a place where men, every afternoon, who's got a long time sober, they all keep each other accountable, and they have a solution. Yeah. Somebody in this room the other day said it so well. You can't spell spiritual without ritual. And so I've always had a morning ritual, my meditation, my breath work, now doing journaling. I feel resistance and I push through it, it's going to get better. And then go to work, and now I'm doing breath work with some of my clients that I'm going to start asking more because sometimes I'm just like, oh, this person doesn't want it. Anyway, and then I have to have an after work. I've always had a tight morning routine, but I didn't have an after work ritual, and that's where you got to find people that are your steel sharpens steel.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a group called Sacred Sons that I did work with for a few years, and they say brotherhood is a medicine, and it's like I just said this to my buddy today, even a king had counsel. Yeah. Like, you need to see where your blind spots are, and there are 12-step programs that have a solution if you do it. I was trying to do things my way. Now that I'm taking direction from men who have this spiritual awakening, this doing the next right thing, getting over yourself, because a lot of us addicts and alcoholics are self-centered, and we're selfish and self-centered giant children who you learn how to grow up. My buddy keeps saying you're growing up in public now. Oh. And I'm really grateful for him and these men. I have people who I've known for years that don't check in with me. Yeah. They don't even support me on my social media, which is weird. I'm sure you have that too. Yeah. You're like, my best friends or family never even say anything on there. Maybe they don't want to stroke my ego. I still think it's weird. Yeah. But I have people that I don't know that want to see me win, and they really do care. Like these men that check in, and this one guy, like these guys that I hang out with, they're very successful. This dude's like an old gangster, and he's in his 70s. He's an old gangster that's retired, and he drives a fucking Rolls Royce. And you would never know, like, and he kisses me on my cheek. Yeah. I love you, buddy. Yeah. My mentor now, I love you, buddy. And he's a badass. Like, these dudes are just, these guys that were straight up gangsters that now have their own business. And they'll do the same thing. They'll share and they cry. It's like, you can see other tough men get vulnerable. And that's what I want. I don't want to hang out with guys that are trying to impress me with how cool they think they are. I keep hearing myself and other men now where it's like, those stories aren't as cool as you think. Like, those stories, like, we're so attached to our old stories, and that's why it's so hard for some of us. For me to move forward, I was attached to who I thought I was, and it's like, you got to make new stories. You got to let go of parts of you, and there's friends that are there for reasons and seasons, and the people that have been in my life or have worked for me, where I would normally hold resentments, now I'm like, thank you. Now I learned from you, because I got to see how I was, and that sucks. You were like that, and you were like that, and that. I had someone where I was like, wow, they have a big heart, they're great, but man, they drive you nuts, or that person's annoying, and that, you're like, those are all you. Yeah. Now you can see, like, what you did to people, they love you, but I was like, all right, you're too much.
I love what you said, you have friends for reasons and seasons, and I can relate that I've had friends for different seasons and different reasons throughout my life, and, a lot of them haven't stuck with me, because as you grow, people get afraid of who you are becoming, because they're so used to who you were. Or like you said, negative energy likes negative energy, and I've been wanting to surround myself, and you're magnetized to people that are wanting to grow. And when you do that, the more that I'm learning as I'm growing and I'm sharing, like, if you never decided you wanted to take those first steps into going into that room, you would have never met that 7-year-old gangster man that is willing to share his story, and he's a much more graduated version of who you are right now. And because he allows himself to be vulnerable in another room full of men and at a much older age, he's giving back to who he was, and he's happy. And he's happy. And so
old men, these old people are miserable.
And that's what I think is great, is the more that you allow yourself to reshape and grow when you have friends throughout seasons, you have to sometimes let go in order to keep going. If that makes sense, right?
Yes.
I love it that you're starting to
do
journal.
that in yoga. You gotta let go. I when I'm in these poses, breathe, feel it, let go. And I'm like, and it's okay. I wanted to say this the other day. It's like I'm making myself get more comfortable. I'll be into a pose and it hurts. Something that I've learned that I used to say, that person made me mad. That person made me angry. Yeah. No, that anger was in me. Yeah. They brought it up. So when I'm inviting people, I don't use numbing cream on my clients. It's like I'm inviting them to feel the pain. Yeah. That's pain that's in you, that's coming up that you're not wanting to deal with. And you're like, I need a distraction. I need this. So now I'm inviting myself to lean into it. Instead of getting out of the pose, I'll go, it's okay to take a break like in life. Pause, but don't give up. I go back into the pose and I open up more. Feel it. I breathe in. Yeah. Feel it. Shh, lean into it more. Let it go. Okay, back up. Get back into it. Don't give up. Finish it. So many things, so many times in my life, I gave up before the miracle. And I've said this before, where I would hike Angel's Landing in Zion. And it's a tough, crazy hike, and there's only it's only this wide once you get up, and there's so many people, and I would see, girls are so mean to each other, and there's always the bigger girl, the insecure girl on the group of babes, and I've seen it at least 3 times where they stop the journey with their friends, and they're just kind of sitting there moping, and I just feel so much empathy for them, and I go, keep going. Yeah. I go, you don't even know there's only 10 more minutes. And I'm like, it's just like life. It's like you were so fucking close to the end, to the magic, to the glory, and you gave up. There's only that much left. Just keep going. If you just make it, you're gonna. I'm like, come on, girl, just come with me. Like, let's go. And then you get to the top, and you're like, oh my God, and you see their confidence come back. I see people beat themselves up. They gave up, and they thought they got discouraged. And I thought there was so much more to go, and there really wasn't.
This is what I love. I definitely want to go.
People give up before the miracle, and I used to do that. I wanted to give in with cannabis after 90 days. I'm not going to. There's a miracle. There already is a miracle, and I know there's more coming.
I love this, and I want to talk about this in the fitness kind of thing, as well as when you take it to tattooing. So, and I know you're going to relate to me on this. We talked a little bit about it, but I love training the way that I do because it reminds me that I feel fucking alive. I love when it gets hard. And when I've had to pause for a minute, tell myself I'm a badass, and then get back into it. Or sometimes my body was, and I have to accept where my body was that day. That's an also thing that I fight with my ego. But I want to take it how you also said it's a experience, and I want to relate it back to your tattooing because I did like how you said this, that you don't use a numbing cream because you want to feel the pain.
Feel it.
And I think
it's supposed to be a ritual. That's how our ancestors got tattooed.
Yeah.
There's tribes. If you tapped out, you were not in the tribe.
Right. And now I see it, and I have no everybody each to their own, right? But now I see where they're going even under general anesthesia to do full body pieces, right? But I think you're missing.
You gotta release judgment.
Release judgment, yeah. But I think what I even said when I went to get
it's fashion for some people.
It is. I mean, But when I went and got my first large piece, 1, I was nervous. 2, I had to sit through 3 sessions, and you tattoo for a long time, my friend, and you have to go to this place, so I would put earbuds on, and I would just do this then, and I think it's this whole beautiful process, and then when I was done, and I had this beautiful piece, I'm like, I'm a badass.
That's right.
Because I earned it. I sat there, and so I love how you're also embarking on, like you said, this ritualistic kind of breath work and integrating with your tattooing, and I hope you take it to the next level because that is something I don't see yet, and that is something that I would be fucking into. I want it, and it already was a thing for it. I forget what I'm trying, but it already was like a whole moment for me. You know what I mean? But so I love that you're tapping in on that, and I think that could be something special. Your tattoos often convey deep emotions and stories. And I know you have a preference. I know you love to tattoo the skulls. I love
doing skulls with organic flowers because you can find beauty in darkness, and then there's full circle. If things have to die and they bloom, just like the flowers, things, it's all in a cycle.
How has your personal journey impacted the stories you choose to tell through your art? I love it what you just said.
Well, that's what I want to do now. Like, there's part of me that really wants to be more quiet, but that's not me. And I want my voice to come through in my art.
Yeah.
So I'm getting new clients now. I'm booked till July 2026.
God, get some.
And so some of them
so
cool. Really were just like, I'm tattooing. It's crazy that these women as beautiful as you and my wife, they have these scars of, they don't know they're beautiful, and because they've had gaslighting husbands. Yeah. I have women that cry after, like, you've made me feel, I feel sexy now. Yeah. I feel they've had these scars from things, or, you know, they got the mommy makeover.
I was just going to say.
I have this badass, she's badass.
Yeah.
And her husband, if I say too much, it'll be easy to figure out who she is. She's kind of known in her. She cried saying, I wish I had what you and Michelle have. It's supposed to be us. We were the couple, and then he just became this asshole. She gained a lot of weight. She lost weight. And so she's a hot little body now. Yeah. And she says when they would fool around, he'd go, ew. Like he would say these gross, like, but that's a him. That's a him thing. It still hurts. And so she's kind of conservative. She didn't have any tattoos and did this whole big mommy makeover. And she started crying. She's like, I haven't felt I feel sexy. I feel like a badass. You gave me my confidence back. And I do that with a lot of women, giving them their confidence back.
Sure the hell do.
And so with me being booked out this far, a lot of girls are like, perfect, I want to lose some weight. Or I'm leaving this job to go after my dream, and I'm just starting, I don't have any money now, but that gives me time to save, to reward myself. Yeah. So it's like, they're wearing a badge, I like to say a badge of honor, but I'm doing more back pieces, and it's like something for them to remind them of the work that they've done and the growth, and it's becoming a really cool. Before I was just slapping pretty tattoos on hot chicks, which is cool. Yeah. Nothing wrong with just getting a tattoo to feel sexy, and now it's with more intention and doing breath work and prayers over people, and like we said, dude day, I'm having more dudes.
I think that's so cool.
I met this dude who's like a professional cyclist, sober bartender, and we met because I was sober, and if I was marijuana, if I was California sober where I smoked weed, I would have been awkward and just avoided him. Yeah. I would have been like, hey, nice to meet you, and then I'm like awkwardly stoned, but we just talked about what we were talking about. Yeah. Now I'm doing a back piece on him, and we ride bikes together, and we do. He speaks my language. He's a badass dude. He's got healthy masculinity. Yeah. It's really cool. But I'm more men. Oh, one of the back pieces I'm working on, I can tell his story because it's on a docu-series. He was a badass fucking paratrooper. I'm doing a full back piece. 20 years at paratrooper rescue. There's a movie where him is a character in there where they go in to get this green beret, and he carries them, his best friend dead, and that's what he carried. Yeah. And so he was in the military, and he went to rehab like 3 times to deal with his coping mechanism. Yeah. And the military is like, we're not paying for rehab a 3rd time. And so he went to Soul Quest, which is an ayahuasca center in Florida, and it was a little pricey, and he's like, oh, I can't afford that right now. They're like, why don't you come on down? Yeah. And he's like, if you do a helper, you can pay off your... And so he's gotten healing through that doing ayahuasca, and he's healed. Oh, yeah. He's got 2 beautiful daughters. He's a good dad, and now he's healing other men. And I picked him up to take him to yoga. He's way more jacked than me. Like I always want to put a shirt on when I'm around him. He looks so good. I'm 44. I think he's 50. He's a stud, and he cried the whole just telling his story. Like we bonded. And I was like, that's cool because I know you're a tough dude. Like that's tough. And we did yoga together, and I'm doing this back piece on him.
And had you never had that ego, you would have never even talked to him, grown or learned or intersected story. You know what I mean?
More men now that I'm resonating with, and I'm vibrating and attracting. Oh, it's cool.
I love that. What advice do you have for those who are also on this path to recovery, maybe inspired by your journey?
It's like the advice I want to give is the stuff I've heard for years, and it's like, you're going to hear things as you're going through your journey that you roll your eyes off and scoff, and you're like, that's cliche, or you're like, what does it even fucking mean?
Yeah.
And then one day it clicks when you're ready. I would hear guys that were sober, I would after a binge, licking my wounds, I'd call someone to, that understood, make me feel better. And they're like, when you're ready, when you're ready, you'll get sober. And I'm like, I am ready. And I wasn't. I was only doing it out of guilt and shame. I really wasn't done. When you're done, you're done. And I'm like, I'm done. What do you mean? No, it's just one day you just know you're fucking done and you're ready to do the work. And the first few weeks of being completely sober without herb was so uncomfortable. I couldn't sleep. I was irritable. I was telling guys at the work, you can't smoke weed anymore. And I'm like, that's not cool. That's a you thing. You're going to have to, you can't walk through life controlling everything. You just got to I was like, can you just smoke away from the door? Yeah. I was like, I'm trying to change people around you. You can't change people.
No.
You got to change yourself. And so I was like, why am I trying to change everyone around me? It's because I couldn't change myself, so I got to change everybody else. And I think that goes with control freaks. It's like, we can't control, so if we control everything else around us, we have some sense of control. That's just my experience. Yeah. And I've let my life, I leave my wife alone, I leave my daughter alone, don't say it, just leave them alone. Why are you picking on them? They're doing fucking fine. She said something before when when I used to be a real asshole. She's like, when you see me happy, just leave me alone. Yeah. And so I was like, I want to say something. I was like, why? You want to say it because you're in a mood? Or it's not funny. Some of the things we say to our friends and spouses and family, you think it's funny, but it's fucking rude. Yeah. Some of the things that come out of our mouths are just rude, these unsolicited comments and jabs. So, focus on yourself. It's an inside job. As above, as below. As within, as without. As you change, everything else will start to change around you. The way you perceive life is what you're going to see. So if you're always in your head and you're angry and you're always thinking about shitty situations and this happened to me and you're a victim, you're always going to be a fucking victim. And then you stop being a victim and you sure, things will happen to you. Yeah. Somebody will do something to you, let you down. People are going to let you down. People are just going to people. Yeah. People are being people, and it's not personal. I had to learn to get over your fucking self, Joseph. Even when I did ayahuasca years ago, I want to do it again, but because God, it was such a great mirror to showing me of what a selfish victim I was being, and everything that happened in my life is what I asked for or how I handled the situation. People are going to be them. People are going to let you down. There's a great book called The Four Agreements by Don Willis McGee Jr. Be impeccable with your word. Don't have expectations. Don't take things personal or something else, but don't have expectations and don't think things personal. Even if it is personal, it's just doesn't, that's a them problem. Yeah. That's them, that's their own shit. You change yourself, that's all you got to do. And so I'm focusing on me, not in a selfish way. It's a little bit selfish. You need to make time for yourself. Yeah. But if you focus on changing yourself, everything is changing around me now. The way I'm interacting with people, like I said, my wife things are great. Yeah. My son hugs me twice a day, and he's 12 now, and it's still a loving. He loves to see me. Yeah. I remember when my dad would come home. I didn't like it when my dad came home. I'm like, "Where's Mom?" Yeah. Mom. I
love that what you said is when you change yourself, naturally the environment around you will change versus us trying to control it. I also love that you said your world is what you fucking make of it. If you tell yourself that the world sucks, the world is gonna fucking suck. People will always people. I love that. People will always people.
People are just people.
But you have to learn how to cut the cord and carry on. And
make healthy boundaries.
Oh, so
I had to do that. I love you. Oh. I don't know about you, but there's people I love, but I don't like them.
Yeah.
Oh. It's like you don't have to. There's things that I've wanted to say to people that it's like, why? My wife is just so wise, and she would say, think about it. Is it true? Is it nice? Is it necessary?
Oh.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Sure, it's true. It's true they did that. Is it nice to say? Is it necessary? No. But if it's true and necessary, then you can say it. May not be nice, but think of is it really that important to say? I've been holding my tongue now and it's not coming out passive aggressive because I'm walking in my truth. I have sovereignty and really just playing with, like, do I need to say this? And a lot of times where I've been upset with somebody and I don't say anything, after 20 minutes, a half hour, I don't even feel that anymore. And I'm like, man, you could have ruined the whole day. And made that relationship even worse. Just shut up. Yeah. Wait, why am I talking?
Oh.
It's a good one. Why am I talking? Like, for someone who talks a lot, it's like, why do you have to say it? Is it important? Is it really, does it hold weight? That's what my mastery is on now. The sobriety thing is easy now. It's this fucking mouth.
Yeah.
It's a double-edged sword. Ooh, it's got me a lot, but it's gotten me in a lot of trouble. So that's what I'm sitting with now.
I love that. I love how you work on one thing, and when you peel that away, and you're like, oh, I can go over here, I can peel this.
You said there's layers. Layers, player.
Layers, player. Oh, I love that.
That's why the snake on my face, it's for temptation, and the snake is always shedding its skin. There's always more layers of growth. The growth, the work never stops. And on the sobriety journey, I thought there was some level you get to, and it all goes away. Nope. Sorry. And we'll touch into suicides. I think that's why a lot of people take their lives is they don't want to do the work. They don't want to. They can't take it anymore, and they take the easy way out. I'll never know what they. I have a friend whose brother killed themselves, and they lived, and I want to ask, what was the last few things you think? I want to know, my mom killed herself. Almost all my best friends have and been murdered. There's just been so much. I had a spiritual medium from Australia who's been guiding me. She never asked for anything except for me to help somebody who was going to kill themselves. I thought she was running the long game. Yeah. And one day she asked me for a favor and said, hire this person who's going to kill themselves. And I hire them, and weeks later they go, you saved my life. Like, you go for the underdog. I said, because I'm an underdog.
That's right.
They go, I was going to kill myself. I was like, this lady told me about you. She's in Australia. It's weird. But after the quarantine, she messaged me. She's like, Joseph, I need to tell you, people, over these next few years, people are going to be going crazy and killing them. Yeah. People are either going to be going crazy or they're going to kill themselves. Yeah. And I'm seeing it. And I'm seeing two friends of mine that are doing really good. And now they're really, really struggling. And they're not even like addicts, like or alcoholics. It's so crazy to watch. I feel I need to be sober now for whatever happens for the world, for my family. Like, I can't always depend on my wife. Yeah. My wife.
My mom, there you go.
It's like a lot of us depend. Yeah. We have these codependent partners, and it's like, what if something happened to them? What are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
And that's part of too. I want to be self-sufficient. I want to not always rely on somebody. That's why I'm meditating without phones and stuff now too. I need to tap into that.
I love that. I love it. I love what you said, and I'd like to say this out loud. We recover loudly as we contribute to keeping others from dying quietly. Don't like it, just keep moving. So I know that sometimes we are not everybody's person because we are loud and we have something to say, but I love that you are willing to be vulnerable and to share, to help those strangers, that guy from Australia, or the friend from Australia, how you helped her, strangers that you may never meet, so even getting on this podcast and just sharing, this moment in time and this where you are in this journey can truly impact and just make the world a little bit of a better place. And that is always my mission, is to share my own story with the help of my friends, share theirs, and be courageous and be bold enough to say it out loud, to maybe make a difference for those that we have loved and that we have lost.
People suffer in silence.
People suffer in silence. And that's why
I'm learning people that I've looked up to reaching out to me right now. I'm like, whoa, you're suffering?
And you would have never known.
You look like I've looked up to you. And I was like, wow, so I'm not going to shut up.
I often find the happiest people, or who you assume to be the happiest, might often be the saddest.
Like the Robin Williams.
Like the Robin Williams, he made everybody laugh.
Man, when he killed himself, I did cry. I've never cried over a celebrity. But I felt like I was raised by that guy. A lot of his movies and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But why I really cried was like, that guy had endless resources for help and important, smart people that could help him. And if he could figure it out, I'm fucking doomed. Yeah. But maybe he didn't have a program or he stopped working it.
Maybe.
I don't know, but who knows?
And it is.
Maybe. But all I know is I just gotta focus on me, and now part of that, getting over yourself, being in service of others.
Makes a little bit of place.
I used to do it years ago, like to just feel better. I'm sure a lot of us are guilty of that, like that survivor's guilt or white privilege guilt, or you go out and help people. And I've always, me and Michelle have big hearts, but now it's like I really want to help people, like just
who are where you were, maybe.
Yeah.
Going where you're going, perhaps.
I've given people a lot of chances too. I mean, I've helped always out of the kindness of my heart. Something I've done is I've helped people, and then when they don't, I'm like, why would I have resentments? And so I would do things for people. I believe a lot of it too was because I wanted them to like me.
Yeah.
And then when they didn't act how I thought they should act, I would throw it in their face, and that's not fucking cool.
No.
So now I just help people, the kindness of my heart, and if they,
it's up to them.
It's like, hey, at least I know that I tried to help, and there's no. That's just, I don't take it personal no more. And
I'd love to ask you. So I always feel like when I have these interviews with a special guest feature, I get the opportunity to tell your story. Perhaps it's a piece of art from the beginning to the middle to the end and to the sequel. Like what's next, right? Because I always think you are a grower, just like myself, and we're always unshedding these layers. And there's always going to be something next, right? So what's next for you in both your tattoo art career and your continued journey? Where do you see this going?
I'm just gonna keep, like, I used to try to, it's like I'm just focusing really on today, and then if I gotta, like, tattoos that are coming up, just one or two at a time, but
yep.
I'm just focusing on what I can do now. Something I've learned, if you're in the past and worrying about the future, you're shitting on today. You know what I'm saying? You're shitting all over today, but I'm gonna keep pushing and inspiring and helping people, helping spread the message, and just I wake up every day with gratitude, and just I try to tell myself, what if this is the last day? Like I've heard that before, yeah. But I'm like, what if this is the last day I hung out with my wife and you're a dick?
Yeah.
What if? And as far as my art, I want to take it, my career tattooing. I've been doing this shit over 20 years, and I'm so stoked where I'm at. I want to keep making it more, I want to make it more ceremonial and healing, and with full intentions. And I might just do some rad ones here and there, but I'm taking it back to the roots. There's a girl, Chloe, she's doing the same thing too, that worked at her shop. She's doing like Reiki and stuff, and I think that's really cool. We need more of that. And I will be honest, Miss Chloe, I've done this, but my ego's like, ooh, that's my thing. No, it's her thing too. Yep. Like it's so funny, the ego, where people are like, oh, you're copying me. I'll see couples where I'm like, oh, you're cool. Yeah. You need more of that.
Yeah, no one can do it.
Shut up, ego. Get over yourself. She's probably doing it before you. You just weren't paying attention because you're so wrapped up in yourself, Joseph.
But no two people will ever be the same.
Yeah, everybody's got their own little flavor, and I think it's really cool. And I hope you understand, like, I wasn't a jab. I'm actually calling myself out. I think it's beautiful what she's doing. Yeah. Women, need healing from another woman. She's a beautiful, beautiful woman in soul, and her and her husband are very much in love, like me and Michelle. And it's really cool to see more power couples. Your partner is your best friend, and if you don't trust them, why are you with them? Like, you need to trust your partner. And build each other up. A lot of men, it's like the wife, how I was raised, it's like the wife is a servant. She's my equal. Yeah. There's there's things that I can't do that she can do, and vice versa. And that's where you make a team, You
complement each other. You trust each other. And love is the highest vibration.
And love.
Yes, trust
Let
and
love rule over. It's not, men are afraid to, you can still be an alpha male. You can still be tough. Like, I love getting in the gym. And if you want to fight, just some jujitsu and get that shit out in a healthy way. And you still know, I am a peaceful warrior. I'd rather be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. Yeah. I went too soft a couple of years ago when I was marijuana maintenance. Too much psychedelics, too much weed and yoga, and I didn't realize all that weed was like raising my estrogen. I've cried today about stuff I'm passionate, but I was really I got really fucking soft. And then I would be passive aggressive, and now I'm in the middle more, and now it's not this, it's this.
Yeah.
And I know that there's a guy, Trevor Boehm, really good, really rad dude, the Uncivilized Man, and he has a chapter talks about don't be the dude at the bar, don't be the Joey Vegas douchebag waving the knife. I'm a tough guy. Yeah. You have that knife in your back pocket, and you know how to use it if you need it. Like, I know I can handle myself. I don't have to flex on people. And even if people test me, it's like I can let that shit go because it's not worth breaking my hand or going to jail. Yep. Only if I'm in true danger to protect myself. And I think that's a beautiful part of jiu-jitsu. It's a chess game and it's a good self-defense. There's so much more to it. So you can still be a man. Like, there's many other ways to still be an alpha, but lead with love, with your heart open. So you can see people that are like this. I had a guy that asked for a job that was kind of, and this is what I had to tell him. I said, your energy. He's like, can I ask why you didn't hire me? I'm like, I was hoping you wouldn't. I said it was this. Yeah. He came in like this, or energy, you're blocked off. Yeah. You can see when people, especially women, when they don't like what they're hearing, you're closing off. Be open. Open that heart. Don't be afraid to be hurt. You know, you're going to miss a lot of opportunities in life. If you're afraid, you have that wall up that little Jamie and Joey might get hurt and not seen. It's like, you got to ask that little child inside too what they need. What aren't you getting? Like, what do you need? It's something I ask myself. Why are you feeling this way, Joey? Little Joey? Were you not heard? Were you not? Well, let's fucking gotta have these conversations. And for me, that's why sobriety is important, so I can be clear. So I can. There's a song from Outkast from years ago, and it always rings in my head. No drugs and alcohol, so I can get the signal clear.
Oh shit.
You know, and when I was not drinking, when I was in California, I bought a bunch of weed, a lot of it. And I was driving, and God goes, throw it out the window. Yeah. And I was like, and I threw it out the window. He goes, you just need to be clear. There's things you need to learn. And I'm like, okay. Yeah. And I know it sounds crazy, and I am a little crazy, but...
No drugs, no alcohol, so the signals are...
No drugs or alcohol, so I can get the signal clear.
Oh, okay.
I forgot what Outkast song it was, but it always rings in my head. And now I'm getting the signal clear. I just need to make sure, you know, like... what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing is really, because there's a lot of tomfoolery. There's a lot of illusion. There's a lot of trickery. We're in a game. We're in the Matrix, and I want to be out of the Matrix.
Oh, well, I'd say you're well on your way, my friend. I love how we close. No drugs, no alcohols to get the signal clear.
Hey, if it doesn't ruin your life, I'm not judging, but for me, it ruined my life, and I was very delusional. Some people can handle it.
Some people can handle it.
And they're fine. It doesn't change them. It just, like Michelle, it just makes her a little louder. We're already loud people.
Oh, we don't
She doesn't become selfish and fucking destructive. You know, some people just can handle it.
I believe that as well.
And if you like watching TV and it doesn't hold you back or make you depressed, and if you like binge eating and eating all the sugars and stuff, and that's fine. But that's what works for me. As like I told her earlier, that one of my therapists tried to diagnose me bipolar, and it's been 96 days and I haven't had any highs and lows because I'm eating super clean and working out and meditating and I'm doing the next right thing. I feel good. If I eat sugar, I love it. I fucking love chocolate. Yeah. Chocolate and shitload of ice cream and peanut butter.
And
fucking honey. And
I like
but the next day I don't feel good. My brain, sugar, refined sugar is terrible for your chemistry in your brain. I didn't graduate from high school, but I know the next day, for me, I'm very agitated and I'm not focused. So if I eat super clean, I feel good.
And that's what I'm saying. And that's what I love about sharing these stories from different people, because not everything will resonate. Like maybe your go-to is going after work and then watching your favorite Netflix, episode. But what I think is cool is when people tune into podcasts like this or anything, you ingest the pieces of content or the words that really mean something to you. So my mission today by having you on this show is just to get the opportunity to paint your picture. And again, I can't tell you how many times I said I was grateful.
I'm grateful for you.
This is dope.
Holding space for me to... I'm in a good mental... I talked to you, I was like, I just want to get some time sober, so it makes sense. So I know I'm not all over... I mean, I was a little all over the place just because I'm excited.
And that's me too.
Not because I'm...
Yeah. I think it's great that you waited till, and that's what I always said. I said, I want to tell your story when you're ready. There is no rush because a journey is a journey. But you, and I know that you would approach me.
No, you were the one person I thought of too. I was going to smoke on 90 Days, and I was like, I can't do that show either. I was like, I'm going to lose these new group of friends.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we'd still be your friend.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't come around because I knew I wasn't in true sobriety, and I couldn't come here and fake the funk.
Well, I'm glad.
I may be annoying to some people. I may sometimes try too hard to get people to like me because for a long time I didn't like myself. People don't like that shit. But don't try too hard.
Yeah.
Nobody likes that shit. And but I can't fake the funk. I can't do it. I may be able to for a very little bit, and I can't do it. So I would have canceled on you if I was smoking.
Well,
I would have still said I'm clean and sober.
Yeah.
I would have said I'm clean and sober from alcohol and cocaine. I would have been lying.
I think it's cool though. I think you meet these people or you make these commitments and it's just the universe pushing you. No, you got a little bit farther to go.
Keep going. And that's part of being impeccable with your word.
Yeah, fucking A. Well, I just want to tell you, I have a genuine heartfelt mission behind the work that I do. I hope to tell my story with the help of my friends, share their own experiences, and break the generational substance abuse. I believe the universe brought me this awesome opportunity to collaborate, paint your picture, share your story for those who are where you were and going where you're going. Joseph Haef, I'm grateful for your story today, and thank you for letting me be a part of it.
Grateful for you, Jamie.
I'm going to link in the show notes. You can check out Joseph's art. I'll link that in the show notes. I also like to link any. I link hotlines to help hotlines to local AA meetings or where you can find them. And I also would just like to share.
For any of the women out there that you need help like this, I know this woman can help. Think about, so then you're like with personal trainers or a life coach, it's like, well, I can't afford it. But you're like, think about all the money you spent binging on certain things or going out and drinking. It's like, I know a lot of people will, for me, high statements, I wasted a lot of money on things that hurt me, but I didn't want to spend only half to help me.
Yeah. Oh, that's
you know what I mean?
good.
It's like, it's kind of crazy the thinking we do. You're like, I don't know, it's expensive. You're like, your life is going to get so much better for half the price that you were destroying yourself.
And I believe that in the long term, too.
I think she can really help a lot of you women out there. We need people that can push us. Like, sometimes it's hard to push yourself. Yeah. You know?
And I believe, I always take
need coaches.
I believe that as well. A coach needs a coach. A mentor needs a mentor. But I always believe that you're buying yourself.
Therapists need other therapists. They have to see a therapist.
The things that we do in the present day, though, will paint the picture of what your quality of life looks like later on in life. So if you don't take the time and the money to do the mental work or the physical work today, your quality of life and how well you can move, breathe, or do anything in your older years.
Invest in yourself.
Invest in yourself. So like Joseph said, I specialize in helping women on their own journey of recovery by utilizing my favorite tools of fitness, nutrition, and most importantly, reflection. If my mission speaks to you, please check out my work at lifespeachyhealthandwellness.com, and are always feel free to reach out at Jamie at Lifespeachy Wellness. I would love to connect. And if anything I ever say in any of these episodes means something to you or can help a friend, please share it. And again, Joseph, I'm grateful for you. This was a sweet fucking opportunity for me.
Have fun.
Woo! Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you
See you in the
listening.
next one. Jamie Letchworth. I'm out.